Hi, this is Dan Whitney with the Whitney Law Firm in Towson, Maryland. Today we're going to talk about the problem of what should I do when my car should not have passed the Maryland safety inspection. So I sue many car dealerships on behalf of clients across Maryland, new car dealers, used car dealers, and inspection stations that do fraudulent or negligent Maryland state inspections. So this is a huge problem in Maryland. There are dozens, if not hundreds, of dishonest Maryland state safety inspection inspectors that will pass a car despite serious problems with it. And usually the way this works is somebody goes to buy a used car and they take it for a little test drive around the block, or relatively short. They think, okay, I guess it's all right. They buy it and they take it home. Within usually a couple days or a week, the truth begins to come out, and it turns out that the car perhaps shudders and turns off when it's being driven. Perhaps it pulls severely to one side, perhaps because a steering component is bent or otherwise damaged. The problem could be that a severely damaged component of the car, such as the bumper, has been damaged, but that was not detected. It could be a whole host of issues. And the question is, what does the customer do about this? What do you do when you find out your car should not have passed inspection? So fortunately, in Maryland, the Maryland State Police have an excellent program through the Maryland State Police Automotive Safety Enforcement Division. So what they will do as a free service to consumers is they will offer a free inspection of a car that was purchased, typically within the last 30 days or 1,000 miles. And there's some wiggle room on the end of that if you're close to those limits and a little bit over. But they will cause an inspection to be performed to determine whether or not, to their standards, the car should have passed inspection. And if they say, yes, it should have, well, that's pretty much the end of it. But a lot of times the state police do the Maryland safety inspection, and they will determine that although an inspection station passed it, the inspection never should have passed this vehicle. It was a bad inspection, and they violated the state administrative regulations that are the guideline as to the criteria that determines whether or not a car should pass. So if the state police figure out and they do their inspection and they determine that this car should not have passed, a report gets issued. And the report will cite the specific COMAR, Code of Maryland Regulations, COMAR provisions that were violated. So the benefit to the customer is, one, now you've got a Maryland State Police investigator who has determined the car should not have passed. But you're still stuck with the issue of, I've got this car and what am I going to do about it? So typically what happens is, once somebody calls the state police, an inspection gets done and it's determined this should not have passed inspection, they go to the dealer and they say, dealer, this car should not have passed, help me. And the dealer often says, tough luck, we didn't do the inspection station did it, this is the inspection station's problem, I don't want to hear about it. Now, this is a completely inappropriate approach to take. And we have had cases where we sue not only the negligent and fraudulent inspection station for doing a bad Maryland safety inspection, but we also sue the dealer. And in a recent case in which this scenario happened, the Maryland State Police investigator did his report, said it should not have passed. In this case, there was tremendous bumper damage that was obvious that should have failed the car, but the inspector passed it anyway in a particularly fraudulent inspection. And what we did is we sued the inspection station, we sued the dealership, and at the end of the day, fortunately, the dealership bought the car back. Our client received compensation for the emotional distress for having to deal with this nightmare for months. And between the dealer and the inspection station, all of the attorney's fees were paid. So our client paid nothing out of pocket as usual. But if this has happened to you and you've been the victim of a bad Maryland state safety inspection, you have legal rights and you should know what to do. Of course, you should call the State Police Automotive Safety Enforcement Division, report it, they'll set an appointment, go get the car inspected. And if the car fails, give me a call. I'm Dan Whitney at the Whitney Law Firm, and I'm happy to help. If you just have a question, consultations are always free. But there's no reason you should be stuck with a bad car if you were deceived into buying it based on a fraudulent or negligent safety inspection. So I hope this has been helpful. If you have any other questions or would like to see a video on a related topic, please just leave something in the comments. If you like this, please also leave a thumbs up for the video. Thank you for your time, and please call me with any questions. Take care.